from video 52, the one which you have just seen, hopefully. And it was all about lodging, which was denied the right to lodge, to find myself a place, room, apartment, studio, whatever. And as well jobs, likewise, they were denied the right to work. It was completely denied to me in Sweden and Norway. So, but as I have documented, okay, I have collected proofs, I have photographed, and in addition to that is, and exactly where I'm going right now, so we're not going to lose time, you know, just by watching those numerous proofs which I have. We're just going to go forward to what was the day when I first actually entered what was Oslo, Norway, or on January 18th, 2010, and with attempt to file for political asylum. Okay, but just before we go with that, I want you to see an article, video, from what is Rachel Maddow, or explanation how things have gotten so far gradually. What was basically first from Bush and now is developing further with what is Obama. You will see now why United States of America actually is today no different than what Soviet Union used to be.
Today proposed something new, something called prolonged detention. Doesn't sound that bad, right? Prolonged detention. Did you ever see the movie Minority Report? It was based on a Philip K. Dick short story. It came out in 2002. It starred Tom Cruise, remember? He played a police officer in something called the Department of Pre-Crime. Pre-crime is where people are arrested and incarcerated to prevent crimes that they have not yet committed.
Mr. Marks, by mandate of the District of Columbia Pre-Crime Division, I'm placing you under arrest for the future murder of Sarah Marks and Donald Dubinow to take place today, April 22nd, at 0800 hours and 4 minutes. No, I didn't do anything.
You didn't do anything, but you're gonna. Future murder. Creepy, right? Putting somebody in jail not for what they've done, but for what you're very sure they're going to do?
There may be a number of people who cannot be prosecuted for past crimes. In some cases because evidence may be tainted, but who nonetheless pose a threat to the security of the United States.
We're not prosecuting them for past crimes, but we need to keep them in prison because of our expectation of their future crimes. The New York Times today, quote, "We've known this was on the horizon for many years, but we were able to hold it off with George Bush. The idea that we might find ourselves fighting with the Obama administration over these powers is really stunning." And it is stunning, particularly to hear President Obama claim the power to keep people in prison indefinitely with no charges against them, no conviction, no sentence, just imprisonment. It's particularly stunning to hear him make that claim in the middle of a speech that was all about the rule of law.
But we must do so with an abiding confidence in the rule of law. Our government was defending positions that undermine the rule of law to ensure that they are in line with the rule of law.
Said about ad hoc legal strategies? Just for context here, in the United Kingdom, where there isn't even a Bill of Rights, there's been a major debate about whether people can be held in preventive detention. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair wanted 3 months to be the outer limit for how long anyone could be held. There was a big political fight about it. Parliament ended up limiting that power to 28 days. 28 days is still the longest period of preventive detention that's allowed under law in any comparable democracy anywhere in the world. How long would President Obama's proposed preventive indefinite detention last? Well, he's not saying yet, but here's how he defines the threat that he says makes indefinite detention necessary.
Right now in distant training camps and in crowded cities, there are people plotting to take American lives. That will be the case a year from now, 5 years from now, and in all probability 10 years from now.
10 years from now. So you could get arrested today and locked up without a trial, without being convicted, without being sentenced for, say, 10 years until the threat of your future criminal behavior passes. Prolonged detention, he's calling it. This is a beautiful speech from President Obama today with patriotic, moving, even poetic language about the rule of law and the Constitution, and one of the most radical proposals for defying the Constitution that we have ever heard made to the American people.
Excuse me, but wasn't Obama the one in Berlin talking about the Soviet Union to the crowd? Wasn't he the one talking about the Soviet Union? And call upon the entire world, saying, people of the world, look at Berlin, look at Germany, look at Europe. Please, Mr. Apparatchik, communist, no different from Stalin. Please.
People of the world, now do your duty. People of the world, look at Berlin. People of the world, look at Berlin. Look at Berlin.
People of the world, look at America.
Yet in the absence of Soviet tanks and a terrible wall,
Soviet tanks
it's easy to forget this truth.
in absence.
And if we're honest with each other, we know that sometimes
If we are honest,
on both sides of the Atlantic, we have drifted apart. But we must try as best we can to balance isolation and engagement, pressure and incentives, so that human rights and dignity are advanced over time.
Alright, so I arrived in Oslo on January 18th, 2010 from Göteborg, Sweden. Went straight from Oslo's railway station to Christian Kroh, 32, on a police station where I filed for the political asylum, or at least I attempted to do so, but the right was denied to me by Turks wearing Norwegian uniforms, police uniforms. During filing for that procedure alone, I was told, I don't know for how many times, how I don't have the right to file for political asylum because Slovenia and the United States are safe states. And secondary, filing for procedure alone, that would be very expensive. On what I replied with offer how I would even go ahead and compensate for all the costs in the region state. And just to be called inside in secluded area where this Turk would begun again to further push. Yeah, well, they have a different mentality, very pushy, very it's completely non-European, it's totally different mentality, and started to insist and push how if I do file for asylum, I would be deported out of Norway within 48 hours by Norwegian authorities and so on. And I actually insisted on filing asylum and was therefore seated in what was waiting area, just so this humiliation, discrimination could continue and would meet again with what were Chinese and another Turk wearing Norwegian police uniforms, on what I have had enough already as with this Turks, which I have experienced also in Germany, and it was just really not productive. We were not, it didn't work. So I requested hearing and with what would be white Norwegian police officer. On what I was seated back in waiting room just to meet with the chief of the police several minutes later, who came in my face with words, "You don't treat my police officer like that." And I was like, hello? Like what? How? What have I done? And called his Turkish police officer, who came and seems like he was not mentally present there or something, like he didn't know what when asked wants to explain what had taken place. This guy was, I don't know, was he there present mentally, or what was wrong with him? I don't know. So I had to repeat the whole thing myself, and the only thing I did is exactly what had taken place. I repeated it. Said the only thing I did was I asked for hearing to be conducted by white Norwegian police officer, on what he started to laugh, both of them,